Know what really happened on that second night in El Paso and why are fans still unable to move on from it? Was it just another concert, or did something unexpected, something unforgettable, explode on stage and leave everyone breathless? If you think you've already seen everything from Suga, think again. Before you dive into this story, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe, because what you're about to read might just change how you see live performances forever. The air in El Paso on the second night felt different from the very beginning. There was a tension, a kind of electric anticipation that seemed to pulse through every corner of the venue long before the lights dimmed. Fans who had attended the first night whispered among themselves, wondering if anything could possibly top what they had already witnessed. Yet deep down, there was a quiet belief, almost like a shared secret, that something bigger was coming. And when the moment finally arrived, it didn't just meet expectations, it shattered them completely. As the lights went out and the first beat echoed through the arena, a roar erupted so loud it felt like the walls themselves were trembling. Then he appeared. Suga stepped onto the stage not just as a performer, but as a force, calm yet intense, controlled yet unpredictable. From the very first second, it was clear this wasn't going to be a repeat of the previous night. This was something entirely new, something raw and dangerously alive. His opening performance carried a darker, more aggressive energy than before. Each movement was sharper, each lyric delivered with a deeper edge. It was as if he had taken everything from the first night, dissected it, and rebuilt it into something more powerful. Fans could feel the difference immediately, their screams turning into something more desperate, more emotional. They weren't just watching, they were experiencing. And then came the first surprise. Just when the crowd thought they had settled into the rhythm of the show, the music shifted unexpectedly. The lighting transformed, casting dramatic shadows across the stage as Suga transitioned into a performance that felt almost theatrical. There was a storytelling element woven into his delivery, a sense that every gesture, every pause carried meaning. It wasn't just music anymore. It was narrative, emotion, and artistry colliding in real time. People in the audience began to realize that this night wasn't simply about bigger visuals or louder sounds. It was about connection. Suga wasn't just performing at the crowd. He was pulling them into his world, forcing them to feel every beat, every word, every silence. And the more he gave, the more the audience responded, creating a feedback loop of energy that grew stronger with every passing minute. Halfway through the show, the atmosphere reached a boiling point. Fans who had come expecting a concert now found themselves overwhelmed by something far more intense. There were moments when the music softened, allowing his voice to take center stage, raw and unfiltered. In those quieter seconds, the arena seemed to hold its breath. It was in those moments that the emotional weight of the performance hit hardest, catching people off guard and leaving them visibly shaken. Then just as suddenly, the intensity surged again. The bass dropped harder, the choreography became more explosive, and Suga's presence on stage transformed into something almost untouchable. He moved with a confidence that felt both effortless and commanding, as if he knew exactly how far he could push the audience, and then chose to go even further. What made this night truly unforgettable, however, wasn't just the scale of the performance. It was the unpredictability. There were subtle changes in arrangement, unexpected pauses, and spontaneous interactions that made everything feel alive and unrepeatable. Fans who had attended both nights quickly realized they were witnessing two completely different experiences, each unique in its own way, but the second night carrying a sharper edge, a deeper intensity. At one point, Suga paused, looking out over the crowd with a quiet expression that contrasted sharply with the chaos that had come before. It was a brief moment, but it spoke volumes. There was something almost reflective in his gaze, as if he was taking in the energy of the audience, acknowledging it, and storing it away. Then, without warning, the music surged back, snapping everyone out of the trance and throwing them right back into the storm. As the concert moved toward its final stretch, the energy didn't fade, it escalated. Every song felt bigger, louder, more urgent than the last. The crowd, already pushed to their limits, somehow found the strength to give even more, their voices rising in unison, creating a wall of sound that seemed to wrap around the entire venue. And then came the finale. If there had been any doubt left about whether the second night could surpass the first, it vanished in those final moments. The stage lit up in a blaze of color and movement, the music reaching its peak as Suga delivered a performance that felt almost cinematic in its scale. It wasn't just an ending, it was a statement. When the final note rang out and the lights slowly dimmed, there was a brief, almost surreal silence. It lasted only a second, but it felt longer, as if the audience needed time to process what they had just experienced. Then, suddenly, the cheers erupted once more, louder than ever, filled with a mix of exhilaration and disbelief. Walking out of the venue, fans weren't just talking, they were trying to make sense of what had happened. Some described it as the best performance they had ever seen. Others struggled to find words at all, resorting to laughter, tears, or simply shaking their heads in amazement. Social media quickly filled with reactions, each one echoing the same sentiment. This was something special, something rare. So what made the second night in El Paso so unforgettable? Was it the heightened energy, the unexpected twists, or the deeper emotional connection? Or was it something less tangible, something that can't be easily explained? A moment where everything aligned perfectly, creating an experience that exists only in memory. Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. What is certain, however, is that Suga didn't just perform that night. He transformed the stage into something more, something that went beyond music and into the realm of pure experience. And for those who were there, it's a night they won't soon forget. Now the question is, were you ready for something like this, or did it take you completely by surprise? And if this is what day 2 looked like, what could possibly come next? But what happens after a night like that? When the lights go out, the echoes fade and reality slowly creeps back in. Does the magic disappear, or does it linger, quietly reshaping everything you thought you understood about live performances? And more importantly, what did Suga leave behind in El Paso that no one saw coming? As the arena emptied and the crowd spilled out into the cool desert night, something unusual could be felt in the air. It wasn't just excitement anymore. It was something heavier, deeper, an emotional aftershock that refused to settle. Fans walked in silence at times, others spoke rapidly as if trying to capture every second before it slipped away. Some clutched their phones, replaying clips they had just recorded, while others simply stared ahead, lost in thought. The second night hadn't just raised the bar, it had quietly rewritten it. Inside the venue, long after most had left, the stage stood still, yet it somehow didn't feel empty. There was a lingering presence, a kind of invisible energy that seemed to cling to every corner. Crew members moved efficiently, dismantling equipment, resetting the space, but even they couldn't fully erase what had happened there. Because what Suga created that night wasn't just sound or movement. It was a moment that embedded itself into memory.